नहमदुहु नुसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम अम्मा बाद फ़ौज़ बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली. Welcome you all for the tafsir session. We are continuing Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 254, and here it talks about how we should spend and addressing to the believers. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu anfiqu. So addressing to the believers, O you who believe, anfiqu, you all spend. So talking about spending here, anfiqu is from noon fa qaf. Nafakha is a hole that has two, is a like a big tunnel which has two holes or two entrances. So nafakh is used for the wealth that one has that should have a hole or the way one spends from it as to where it is better needed. So here you all spend mimma razaqnakum min qabli an yati yawmun la bay'un fihi wala qullatun wala shafa'atu. So here when it is talking about mimma razaqnakum, from what we provided you all. Allah has given everything. We are spending what Allah has given for the cause of Allah. Min qabli, from before ayati, that it comes. What it comes? Yawma la bay'un, a day, no transaction or bargaining. Fihi, in it, wala and nor khullatun, any friendship. This is like a close friendship. We'll go deeper into this meaning. Wala and nor shafa'atu, any intercession. So let's see the detail of this. So here it's talking about, first of all, in this it is talking about how one should spend. What are the different angles here talking about spending? And when we are spending on nafaqah, like as I mentioned before, spending in the way of Allah before that day comes. So before that day comes means what? Here we are talking about like how our life goes on, how our life moves on, and when we are spending, what will happen? It is better for us, isn't it? So in this ayah, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu anfiqu 254 mimma razaqnahum min qabli an yati yawman la bay'un fihi wala qullatun wala shafa'atu walal kafiruna humuz zalimun. So this is the complete ayah, and what it means, O you who believed, spend from that which we have provided for you, what Allah has given, before a day comes in which there is no exchange, no friendship, no intercession. And the disbelievers, they are wrongdoers. So before that day comes, we have to make sure that we spend in the way of Allah, cause of Allah. So let's see the detail of razaqnakum, razaqaf. We have provided you, we have given you. Rizq is provision, not just money, but anything that is given from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to his slave, whether it's a talent, knowledge, time or money. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us to give from what he has provided us to the needy or in his way. Bay'un, baya'ain. Bay is the exchange of goods. Ishtira is also to buy and sell. The difference is that some say ishtira is used for buying only, is used for selling. Or the other says bay is taking the commodity and then giving the payment, whereas ishtira is when you give the money first, then take the good. There is a slight difference, and the both can be used interchangeably. So there is no trading on this day, the day of judgment. You can't buy forgiveness or good deeds. Khullatun, kha lam lam. Khilal is a gap between something, or the place of entering into something, the gap. Khilal of the beard is when you pass the fingers through the beard, or passing water between the fingers so that they do not remain dry. Khala yuqilu, to pierce something. Khulla is a friendship that enters the heart and stays there. and doesn't leave. It is deeply rooted. Qulla is more than muhabba or love. And there is no qulla. Imagine your best friend, such a friend that you have such a deep relation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called Ibrahim alayhi salam is Khalil. Only Allah can be our Khalil. So we can't have human beings as Khalils. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can only be Khalil, only He should be at the level in our hearts. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if he could choose a Khalil among the human, among the Ummah, it could be only Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Because only Allah can be our Khalil. We should only have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the level in our hearts. And that is why Abu Bakr is my Habib. That's what he said. And not my Khalil, Habib. And some says that Kulla is from Khalam Waw or Khala Yakhlu, to be empty. Khalau is to be alone, special friendship at the level that no one else is. Exclusive love and deep friendship should be reserved for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shafa'atun Sheen Fa'ain. Shaf means to be even or part of a pair, as one enjoins the other to intercede for him, ask another to plead for him. وَالْكَافِرُونَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. And the disbelievers whom they are zalimun, the one who are unjust. So zalimun, zulm is to put something where it does not belong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands are being placed where they should not be. So those who disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are who are unjust because they are not respecting His commands. And here let's see, like ilahu. Now let's go through this ayah and then we're going to start the Ayatul Kursi. That's the biggest and the greatest ayah, and we're going to go somewhat in a brief. So when we talk about believers, Allah is addressing believers, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu. What it is mentioned, it's very important message after that. What is that? O you who have believed, anfiqu mimma razaqnakum. Spend from that which we have provided. Meaning, instead of thinking about oneself superior and better, follow the way of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and spend. Anfiqu, spend. What of that which we have given you, means what Allah has given, knowledge, skill, talents, ability, all those things. And then spend out of what Allah has given you before there comes a day in which there is no exchange, no friendship, no intercession, and the disbelievers, they are wrongdoers. So the day of judgment is coming, that day when we will need our amal most. So don't waste this life thinking about how you are superior to the rest of the people, how you can establish your superiority above others. No, spend your life in collecting hasanat, because on that day it doesn't matter what blood we had, it doesn't matter what place we were born in, it doesn't matter how much wealth we have. What matters, how we prepare for the akhirah. So now Ayatul Kursi, the greatest ayah of the Quran. Allahu la ilaha illahu al-hayyul qayyum. So Allah, there is no deity except Him, the ever-living, the sustainer of all existence. La ta'khuzuhu sinatun wala nawm. Neither drowsiness overtake Him nor sleep. Lahu ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard. To Him belongs whatever is in the heaven and whatever is on the earth. Manzal lazi yashfau indahu illa bi izni. Who is it that can intercede with Him except by His permission? Ya'lamu ma bayna aydihim wa ma khalfahum. He knows what is presently before them, what will be after them. Wala yuhituna bi shay'in min ilmihi illa bima sha. And they encompass not a thing of His knowledge except for what He wills. Wasiya kursiyuhu samawati wal ard. His footstool extends over the heaven and earth. Wala ya'uduhu hifzuhuma. and their preservation tires him not. Wahuwal Aliyul Azim. He is most high and most great. This ayah, Ayatul Kursi, is the greatest ayah of the Quran because it talks about who? The greatest one. It mentions who? The greatest one, Allah Azwajal. And in the ayah, 5 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are mentioned and almost 20 attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are mentioned. That is why we see that ayah is very, very powerful. So much so that the recitation of this ayah in the night is a means of protection from shaitan all night long. When a person recites the ayah in the night, he is safe from shaitan for how long? For the entire duration of the night. In the hadith, we learn that when a person goes to bed, he recites Ayatul Kursi, then there will be a guard from Allah who will protect him all night long, and shaitan will not be able to come near him until Fajr. Remember that Abu Hurairah said to him, shaitan said to him, when Abu Hurairah caught shaitan repeatedly in the night. So what happened? Shaitan said this to Abu Hurairah, and the next morning when Abu Hurairah told Prophet ﷺ about this incident, that he is asking to recite Ayatul Kursi to protect from the stealing. So what Prophet ﷺ said, he is a liar but he has spoken the truth at this occasion. So which means that when a person recites Ayatul Kursi in the night when he goes to bed, then what will happen? Until morning he is protected, he is safe. From who? From shayateen. So in this Ayatul Kursi, what is mentioned? The names of Allah are mentioned. Who is described? Allah Azwajal is described. The first description of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is given in this ayah is the names of Allah. The name of Allah is very powerful. It's a blessed name. Because Tabarakasmu Rabbika Zil Jalali wal Ikram. The name of your Lord, meaning the name of your Lord, Allah. That name is blessed. That name is very powerful. In Hadith, we learn that Prophet ﷺ said, when you hear the barking of dogs, braying of donkeys in the night, then seek refuge with Allah. Why? Because these creatures, they see what you do not see. And limit going out when the footsteps have quaint. So meaning outside when there is silence, there is no people walking around. When everybody is gone to sleep, Prophet ﷺ said, do not go out at the time. Limit your going out at that time. Why? Because indeed, Allah spread in the night whoever of His creation. He will close the door and say the name of Allah, Bismillah. When you close the door at the night, Prophet ﷺ said to say Bismillah, say the name of Allah upon him. Why? Because indeed, shaitan cannot open a door on which Allah's name was mentioned, Bismillah. When you're closing a door and you mention the name of Allah, then shaitan cannot open the door. The name of Allah is so powerful. So the fact is that the person who does not mention the name of Allah when he's doing something important, then in reality he's becoming a companion to shaitan. He is becoming a helper to shaitan. Why? Because he is letting shaitan have a share in what he is doing. So Prophet ﷺ said, the screen between the eyes of the jinns and the nakedness of the children of Adam, when one of you enters, the area of relieving oneself is saying Bismillah. Meaning, when we go to the bathroom, we are unclothed. Then what is that will screen us from the shaitan? Say Bismillah. So, Bismillah, saying the name of Allah, this is something that brings a barrier between us and shaitan, that protect us from shaitan. So much so that even at the time of intimacy, yani going closer to husband and wife, that is the time, you are taught the dua. You have to say that dua in order to protect yourself from shaitan. And if child is born because of that, the child also protected. So also we learn Iblis asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that all of your creation has it apportioned provision. So Allah, what is for me? Every creation has its own provision. The animals, they have their own food. Birds have their own food. Human beings have their own food. Isn't that so? So Iblis said, what is for me? Allah said that on which my name is not mentioned. So any food that is eaten and the name of Allah is not mentioned over there, then who has a share in that food? Who will benefit from it? Shaitan will benefit from it. So when we say the name of Allah, what are we doing? We are protecting ourselves from the influence, from the participation of Shaitan. So how is that we secure our provision? How is that we secure our action, our deeds? By taking the name of Allah, the most powerful name, the most powerful word, Allah. So Ayatul Kursi, we learn, and there is no God worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Saying La ilaha illallah, this is absolute zikr. This is the most superior zikr. The best zikr, the best form of remembering Allah is what? La ilaha illallah. Now said, if the skies and the earth, whatever is within them, if they are placed on one side of the scale and La ilaha illallah is placed on the other side of the scale, the later will be heavier. Which one will be heavier? The one which La ilaha illallah. This is why the person who believes in La ilaha illallah and the person who says La ilaha illallah with all his heart, even he ends up saying it only once, then what will happen if he dies? Where will he ends up? Eventually Jannah. A man came to Prophet ﷺ at the battle of Khaybar. He embraced Islam. He said La ilaha illallah and immediately he participated in the battle. And what happened? He passed away. He was killed in the battle. Prophet ﷺ, when he buried him, he said, this is a man who has not even made the one sujood to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he enters Jannah. Why? Because he said La ilaha illallah. How heavy is this statement? How powerful is this statement? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Say it with all your heart while you mean it. So let's see the detail for this when we are talking about Ayatul Kursi, and we'll see the meaning too. Ilah means, it's from Hamza Lam Ha. Allah means to worship. Ilah gives the meaning of Ma'bud, the one who is worshipped. Allah also means to show dedication, to be humble to. So Ilah is one to whom one humbles himself and show dedication to. This is all done with the love and respect. The one who is worshipped, shown humility to out of love and respect. These two things must drive us. Everything worship besides Allah is batil. So Surah Hajj ayah number 62, that is because Allah is the truth and everything that they call upon besides him is batil. Huwa, there is no ilah except him. Aren't there other besides Allah that are worshipped? This statement has to be understood in the proper way. This la is the la of nafi, negation la, which negates. It must be followed by two phrases. Grammatically, that which is negated, a noun of an ism, there should be a description of that ism or khabar. The ism is ilah, but there is no description mentioned as it implied. When we see in translation, there is no God worthy of worship except Allah. The worthy of worship is implied. Al-Hayy, Ha-Ya-Ya, the ever-living. Hayy means life. It is the opposite of death. One who is alive is called Hayy. One who is dead is called Mayt. What kind of life does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have? It is eternal. Thus the meaning here is, first of all, ever living, eternal. He has no beginning, no end. Second thing, the one who gives life. Things are alive because Allah has given them life. Hayy is with regards to wajud, existence, adan, eternity. He has always existed and is attributed attributes are perfect. His ilm is perfect. There is no zawal to him. In Hadith, we learn he is the first and he is the last, awwal wal akhir, and rely upon ever living that does not die in Surah Al Furqan. And Surah Rahman, we learn everyone upon the earth will die. There will remain the face of your Lord, the owner of the majesty and the honor. And Al Khayyum, Khaf Waw Mim, the sustainer of all. Qama yaqumu is to stand. Qa'im is one who stands, one who establishes. Qayyum is the one who established perfectly, without any support. First of all, the one who established himself Qa'im ala nafsihi, the one who is perfectly established on his own. He is independent, does not rely on anyone or anything. He is established in himself. The second thing, the one who establishes others, the one who gives life and risk to others. He is the one who sustains others. He doesn't need a helper or deputy. We are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Surah Fatir, ayah number 15, we learn, you are needy before Allah. And Allah is sufficient, self-sufficient and praiseworthy. We all are faqir. Allah is ghani. Ta'khuzuhu, it seizes him. Sinatun, any drowsiness. Wala, and not. Naum is any sleep. Lahu, for him, ma, whatever, fi, in as-samawati, the skies. Wama, and whatever, fil ardi, in the earth. Man zallazi, who is that? So ta'khuzuhu is from Hamza, Kha, Zal. It overtakes, it seizes. Sinatun is from Waw Sin Nun, means to yawn. It also means to sleepiness. It refers to initial stage of sleep, when one gets drowsy and becomes sluggish, but they are not asleep yet. Naum is from Noon Waw, means sleep. He does not sleep. We are shown that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free of all imperfection. He is available all of the time. We must call upon him. In other faiths, it says that Allah created heaven and earth in 6 days and then rested on the 7th day. That is absolutely false. Allah never gets tired. Never. Surah Al-Kahf, ayah number 38, we learn, and we did certainly created heaven and earth in 6 days, and no weariness or fatigue touched him. Sleep is an imperfection. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above that. The creation is in need of Allah all day, all time. Shows the perfection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's attributes. He is available all the time, 24/7. We can call him anytime. The opposite of hayy is what? Death, which is an imperfection. Al-Qayyum, the creation would be ruined if Allah rested. Even sleeping person is in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would sleep, he would make the dua, in your name, O Lord, I lie down, and in your name I rise you. If you take my soul, then have mercy upon it. And if you return it, keep it under your protection as you do righteous slaves. Lahu gives the 3 meaning when referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. First of all, it belongs to him. He's the owner of all of these things. He's Khaliq, Malik, and the Mudabbir. The second thing, creatures, who created them, who was their creator. Third thing, as servants, everything in the earth is a servant to him. As-samawat, the heavens, whatever we know about, whatever we don't. So in Surah Al-Mudaththir, ayah number 31, we learn that none knows the soldier of your Lord except him. In Hadith, we learn there is no space equivalent to the width of 4 fingers in the sky, except one would find an angel worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, either standing, bowing, or prostrating. There are great number of angels worshipping Allah. How about on earth? There are great number of people, jinns. Man has not discovered everything that exists on the land and the oceans. He owns whatever is in the sky and earth. To him belongs whatever is in heaven and the earth. So here, allazi yashfau indahu. Allazi pronoun used for the one. Yashfau is he intercedes. Indahu near him. Illa except bizni with his permission. Ya'lamu he knows. Ma baina what between aydihim their two hands. Wama khalfahum and whatever behind them. Bi izni who can intercede except with his permission. Means Allah is not just the Lord of this world. He is also the Lord of the hereafter. Prophet ﷺ will only be able to intercede when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him permission. The concept of intercession is a reality. There are three conditions of a confirmed intercession. First of all, Allah's permission. Second, Allah's being pleased with one who is doing the intercession. And third, Allah's approval with the one on whose behalf intercession is sought. The idols of the polytheists will not be able to intercede where they do not please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya'lamu ma baina aydihim. He knows what is in the front of the creation. What does this mean? What creation can see, what it knows about, what it can perceive. Wama khalfahum. Khalf is from khalam fa, to be behind. He knows what is behind the creation, that which is unknown to them, that which the creation has not seen. It could also apply to the future. The creation does not know what lies in the future for them. He doesn't forget the past either. Surah Taha, ayah number 52 and 53, we learn Pharaoh asked Musa al-Islam about the previous generation. And he replied that the knowledge thereof is with my Lord. He doesn't err, he doesn't forget. Wala yuhituna, and not yuhituna ihata, they encompass bishay'in, with anything, min ilmihi, from his knowledge, illa except bima, with whatever, sha'a he will, wasiya it extended, spread, kursiyuhus his kursi, footstool, samawat the heavens. So wala yuhituna is from ha waw fa. Ihata means to encircle, to comprehend something. It is within one circle of knowledge. Bishayn min ilmihi, the complete knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creation cannot of except that which He wills. So for that, two meanings. First, we do not know anything about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His sifat, His that, except that which He has mentioned. Second, we do not know of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except which He makes known to us. How do we know about the angels? From what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us. For example, the story of Musa alayhi salam, when he went with the Khizr, when a bird came to the edge of the boat, Khizr said to Musa, my knowledge and your knowledge compared to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what this bird took out from the sea, a drop of water in the sea. And wasiya, wow, seen, ain, it is extended, it spread out. Wussa is capacity. Wasiya, it encloses, it contains, it compromises. So, kursiyuhu, understood as chair. However, since we have the arsh or the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the throne where He sits, this is why the arsh and the kursi are different. It is said to be the pedestal or the footstool in the front of the throne. Some says that kursi is figurative term. For knowledge, as kharasi is used to learned men. Kharasi is used for the learned men. But others says this is not valid. So the strongest opinion is that footstool. His kursi extends over the heaven and earth. Ibn Abbas said that the kursi is the footstool and no one is able to give due consideration to Allah's throne. In Hadith, we learn that on the Isra and Miraj, Prophet ﷺ saw the kursi and the ceiling of Jannah is the arsh. Nothing is greater in size than the arsh. In the Hadith, we learn the earth in the seven heavens compared to Kursi is like a ring thrown in a desert, and Kursi compared to the Arsh is like a ring thrown in the desert. So, if the seven heaven and the earth were flattened laid side by side, they would add up to the size of a ring in the desert compared to the Kursi. Wal arda wala ya'uduhu hifzuhuma wa huwa al-aliyul azim. Wal arda and the earth, wala and not, ya'uduhu, it tires him. Hifzuhuma, guarding of them two, wa huwa, and he, aliyul azim, the most exalted, the most supreme or great. Wal arda, his footstool is huge. Wala ya'uduhu, hamza, waw, dal, or aza ya'uzu, literally means when something becomes heavy and a person can't bear it anymore. One becomes tired of carrying it, can carry it any longer. Here it means it does not tire him. The responsibility of looking after the heaven and the earth doesn't tire him. Hibsuhuma, guarding of their preservation. Ali, Aliyu is Ain Lam Waw. Ulu is height. Allah means to be above everything else. Ali refers to the height of his power and position, such that there is no one else above him in rank or power. Azim Ain Zwa mean describe his immense power and importance. In Ali, the height is focused, and Azim, the immensely of his power and importance is focused. It also means the greatness in the dominion and his attributes, as no one has the attributes comparable to him. Ayatul Kursi is the greatest verse in the Quran. Its message is of the Tawheed. We learn about the Creator, worship Him alone. And 5 of Allah's names, attributes are mentioned: Allah, Al-Hayy, Al-Qayyum, Al-Ali, Al-Azim. So Ubay ibn Ka'b was asked, what is the greatest verse in the Quran? He said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His messenger know best. He asked him again, according to your knowledge. He then said, Ayatul Kursi. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, rejoice by your knowledge on Abu Manzar. Hadith. Ubay bin Ka'b said, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him about the greatest ayah in the book of Allah, and Ubay answered, Allah and His messenger know best. When Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam repeated this question several times, Ubay said, Ayatul Kursi. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam commented, congratulations for having knowledge, O Abu al-Munzir. So why is this ayah the greatest in Quran? This ayah informs us who Allah is, His attributes, recognition. The greatest surah in the Quran is Surah Ikhlas, which is the message of Tawheed. The verse also mentioned 2 of Allah's grand names, Al-Hayy, Al-Qayyum. Asma bint Yazid said, Prophet ﷺ said about Ayatul Kursi. And Surah Al-Imran, we learn they contain Allah's greatest names, and if a person invokes Allah with these names, Allah will not reject his call invocation. This verse is one ayah, but it contains 10 clauses. Ibn Taymiyyah said there is no single ayah in the Quran that contains which Ayatul Kursi contains. What is the virtue of this ayah? The guarantee of Jannah. Prophet ﷺ said, whoever says this ayah after every further prayer, death will be only barrier preventing him from entering Jannah. Second thing, we learn a protection from one who reads it before sleeping. Whoever recites before going to bed, Allah will appoint a guard for him who will stay with him all night long. Shaitan will not come to him until the morning. And the third thing we learn, the one who recites after the first salah is under the care and the protection. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has care and protection until the next prayer. Surah Hajj, ayah number 62, we learn Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is haq, and everything that they call upon are batil, false. So we end our session here. Jazakallah khairan kaseera. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Jazakallah khairan kaseera.